for the elderly, nurturing for the young. All aspects of life, including food, clothing, housing, travel, birth, education, and care for the elderly, are provided by the home. Parents no longer worry about their children, and children no longer worry about their parents. Distance from politics, distance from religion. The second home does not engage in political activities or religious rituals. All activities follow natural principles. There is no idol worship, no politically or religiously influenced festivals or ceremonies. Residents love nature and protect plants, insects, birds, and animals. Everyone works, regardless of background. Upon entering the second home, everyone is equal. There are no distinctions of status, wealth, or education. Whether one is a PhD or illiterate, rich or poor, scholar or shepherd, official or commoner, man or woman, white or black, everyone becomes a worker. We do not care about one's background, we care about the present. Flexible, adaptive, ever-changing. Everything in the home follows the principle of minimal resistance. Change is constant. Unchanging within change, change within the unchanging. The goal is to enrich cultural life, enhance everyone's inner development, and cultivate a love of life. Residences, work assignments, personnel, and recreational activities frequently change. No two people stay together permanently. Everyone is always in a new environment. This prevents stagnation, stimulates interest and thinking, avoids factionalism, and ensures the eventual formation of a global harmonious and peaceful family. These 8 characteristics distinguish the second home from all other modes of production and living. In addition, the community has many other features. No birthdays are celebrated, there are no one-on-one romantic relationships, the environment is built as an ecological model, the living environment resembles a paradise, there is no personality cult, honesty is valued, work is divided and specialized according to talent and interest, no complaints, no gossip, everything is open, and no secretive behaviors occur. We have paved a sunlit path for humanity. In the communist community, the second home, everyone is essentially happy, joyful, free, and fulfilled. This is the secret to elevating life toward the heavenly realms, achieving immortality and enlightenment. Making the second home the most perfect ideal living community. Xuefeng, March 8, 2013. Life is long-lasting, and the most beautiful things are eternal. The love stories of Liang Shanbo and Xuefeng-Style, Romeo and Juliet, have been passed down through the ages because of their purity. Ordinary love stories do not endure because they contain too many impurities. The price difference between the highest quality diamonds and lower grade diamonds can be enormous, sometimes several times or even dozens of times. For a 1-carat diamond, due to differences in purity, weight, color, and craftsmanship, the most perfect one might sell for 100,000 yuan, while the lowest quality may not even reach 10,000 yuan. Similarly, if Einstein's brain were valued at 1 million, the brain of an ordinary person might only be valued at 10,000 or even 100. The value of things mainly depends on their purity. The purer they are, the greater their value. Even a small impurity can make their quality incomparable to something pure. This is a difference in class, taste, level, and realm. Compared with the 1,000-year world, life on earth is ordinary. The same life in the 1,000-year world is called heaven. There are thousands of utopian communist communities around the world, yet most fail to last, spread widely, or serve as examples. Because their purity is insufficient, they contain too many impurities and cannot endure eternally. If something is to be done, it must be done perfectly and excellently, otherwise, it has little value, cannot be remembered for ages, and will fade away like fleeting smoke. Our second home must be built into the most perfect, pure, and ideal communist living community. Only by achieving the best and most thorough implementation can it attract the attention of the world, endure over time, and continue to grow. If it is not the best and thorough, containing impurities, it will fail to attract humanity's attention, and its very survival may be at risk. How can the second home be made the most perfect and complete communist living community? The following 8 points must be fully realized. Marriage, family, one-to-one, or one-to-several romantic relationships must be completely eliminated. Every member must own absolutely nothing and leave no private property or belongings, completely removing selfishness. Each person must contribute according to their ability and take according to their need, without waste or extravagance, so that the elderly can enjoy their golden years carefree, and children can fully enjoy their childhood and youth. Every member must be a worker. Daily labor must be the primary need of every member. No lazy people may exist, and no opportunists who rely on clever words or trickery can be allowed. Handan management must be fully implemented. Everyone is both a master and a servant. No manager or leader may exist above others. There can be no hierarchy or class. No office of any form may be established. The environment must be built as a paradise and an example of ecological civilization. Sustainable agriculture, forestry, and animal husbandry must be fully implemented. No pollution or littering is allowed. Cultural life must be rich, and external information channels must be open, allowing every member to enjoy a happy, joyful, free, and fulfilling life. No mysticism or secretive behavior is allowed. Political activities and religious rituals must be avoided. The home must be built according to the principles of scientific development. All activities are open to society, and the home itself is open to the public. Perfect things are loved by all. If we achieve the above 8 points, governments will understand, society will support, and the public will admire and yearn for our home. Our community will continue to expand globally, ultimately achieving the goal of establishing 256 branches worldwide. Let us bravely overcome all obstacles and climb toward the highest ideals and goals of life, the ultimate realm of humanity and existence. We will not stop until reaching the celestial island continent. Even in death, we will die on the path to the spiritual mountains of heaven, never sliding into hell. This communist community does not harbor hatred toward the wealthy. Xuefeng, May 16, 2013. Whenever communism is mentioned, some people automatically assume it means sharing wives and property, but this is not the case. For example, the second home, a communist community created by Lifechanyuan, does not practice shared wives. Firstly, there is no marriage or family in this communist community, so there are no couples. Without couples, naturally, there is no shared wife phenomenon. Secondly, within this community, everything belongs to the home. Members practice owning nothing yet having everything, but there is no enforced communism. In other words, if members wish to contribute to the home, they are welcome to do so. If they do not wish to contribute, they may keep their property. Everything is entirely based on voluntary choice. Regarding the outside world, we do not hate the wealthy, nor do we advocate depriving or forcibly taking the wealth of rich people for any reason. Egalitarianism is the greatest form of exploitation and injustice in society. The mindset and practice of equalizing wealth not only harm those who have earned and accumulated wealth through hard work, but also severely damage social productivity and creativity. Protecting the interests of the wealthy is protecting social justice. Accumulating wealth is not simple or easy. Wealthy people have contributed more effort, faced greater risks, overcome more difficulties, invested more thought, and exercised more creativity than those without wealth. The process of creating wealth is itself a contribution to society. A just society should have as many wealthy people as possible. Therefore, the existence of this communist community does not conflict in any way with the existence of wealthy people in society. We have no hatred toward the wealthy. On the contrary, we respect those who accumulate wealth through hard work, intelligence, thrift, and creativity. Just as peonies and roses can coexist harmoniously in nature, the same is true in society. We will never do anything to deprive the wealthy of their interests. On the contrary, we protect their wealth because we are also rich, but our wealth is primarily in the spiritual and mental realms. A communist community abundant in spirit and mind does not harm those who are materially wealthy. Society should be diverse, not uniform. It should allow the coexistence of various modes of production and lifestyles, avoiding one-size-fits-all approaches. Citizens should have the freedom
M.
Making the second home the most perfect ideal living community. Xuefeng, March 8, 2013. Life is long-lasting, and the most beautiful things are eternal. The love stories of Liang Shanbo and Zhu Yingtai, Romeo and Juliet, have been passed down through the ages because of their purity. Ordinary love stories do not endure because they contain too many impurities. The price difference between the highest quality diamonds and lower grade diamonds can be enormous, sometimes several times or even dozens of times. For a 1-carat diamond, due to differences in purity, weight, color, and craftsmanship, the most perfect one might sell for 100,000 yuan, while the lowest quality may not even reach 10,000 yuan. Similarly, if Einstein's brain were valued at 1 million, the brain of an ordinary person might only be valued at 10,000 or even 100. The value of things mainly depends on their purity. The purer they are, the greater their value. Even a small impurity can make their quality incomparable to something pure. This is a difference in class, taste, level, and realm. Compared with the 1,000-year world, life on earth is ordinary. The same life in the 1,000-year world is called heaven. There are thousands of utopian communist communities around the world, yet most fail to last, spread widely, or serve as examples. Because their purity is insufficient, they contain too many impurities and cannot endure eternally. If something is to be done, it must be done perfectly and excellently, otherwise, it has little value, cannot be remembered for ages, and will fade away like fleeting smoke. Our second home must be built into the most perfect, pure, and ideal communist living community. Only by achieving the best and most thorough implementation can it attract the attention of the world, endure over time, and continue to grow. If it is not the best and thorough, containing impurities, it will fail to attract humanity's attention, and its very survival may be at risk. How can the second home be made the most perfect and complete communist living community? The following 8 points must be fully realized. Marriage, family, one-to-one, or one-to-several romantic relationships must be completely eliminated. Every member must own absolutely nothing and leave no private property or belongings, completely removing selfishness. Each person must contribute according to their ability and take according to their need, without waste or extravagance, so that the elderly can enjoy their golden years carefree, and children can fully enjoy their childhood and youth. Every member must be a worker. Daily labor must be the primary need of every member. No lazy people may exist, and no opportunists who rely on clever words or trickery can be allowed. Handan management must be fully implemented. Everyone is both a master and a servant. No manager or leader may exist above others. There can be no hierarchy or class. No office of any form may be established. The environment must be built as a paradise and an example of ecological civilization. Sustainable agriculture, forestry, and animal husbandry must be fully implemented. No pollution or littering is allowed. Cultural life must be rich, and external information channels must be open, allowing every member to enjoy a happy, joyful, free, and fulfilling life. No mysticism or secretive behavior is allowed. Political activities and religious rituals must be avoided. The home must be built according to the principles of scientific development. All activities are open to society, and the home itself is open to the public. Perfect things are loved by all. If we achieve the above 8 points, governments will understand, society will support, and the public will admire and yearn for our home. Our community will continue to expand globally, ultimately achieving the goal of establishing 256 branches worldwide. Let us bravely overcome all obstacles and climb toward the highest ideals and goals of life, the ultimate realm of humanity and existence. We will not stop until reaching the celestial island continent. Even in death, we will die on the path to the spiritual mountains of heaven, never sliding into hell. This communist community does not harbor hatred toward the wealthy. Xuefeng, May 16, 2013. Whenever communism is mentioned, some people automatically assume it means sharing wives and property, but this is not the case. For example, the second home, a communist community created by Lifechanyuan, does not practice shared wives. Firstly, there is no marriage or family in this communist community, so there are no couples. Without couples, naturally, there is no shared wife phenomenon. Secondly, within this community, everything belongs to the home. Members practice owning nothing yet having everything, but there is no enforced communism. In other words, if members wish to contribute to the home, they are welcome to do so. If they do not wish to contribute, they may keep their property. Everything is entirely based on voluntary choice. Regarding the outside world, we do not hate the wealthy, nor do we advocate depriving or forcibly taking the wealth of rich people for any reason. Egalitarianism is the greatest form of exploitation and injustice in society. The mindset and practice of equalizing wealth not only harm those who have earned and accumulated wealth through hard work, but also severely damage social productivity and creativity. Protecting the interests of the wealthy is protecting social justice. Accumulating wealth is not simple or easy. Wealthy people have contributed more effort, faced greater risks, overcome more difficulties, invested more thought, and exercised more creativity than those without wealth. The process of creating wealth is itself a contribution to society. A just society should have as many wealthy people as possible. Therefore, the existence of this communist community does not conflict in any way with the existence of wealthy people in society. We have no hatred toward the wealthy. On the contrary, we respect those who accumulate wealth through hard work, intelligence, thrift, and creativity. Just as peonies and roses can coexist harmoniously in nature, the same is true in society. We will never do anything to deprive the wealthy of their interests. On the contrary, we protect their wealth because we are also rich, but our wealth is primarily in the spiritual and mental realms. A communist community abundant in spirit and mind does not harm those who are materially wealthy. Society should be diverse, not uniform. It should allow the coexistence of various modes of production and lifestyles, avoiding one-size-fits-all approaches. Citizens should have the freedom to choose the kind of life they want. The government should not attack landlords and redistribute land. Those who wish to live a traditional married family life should be allowed to do so. Those who prefer communist living should be allowed. Those who choose lifelong singlehood should be respected. Those who work hard and create wealth in a capitalist way should also be respected. Eliminating capitalism is absolutely wrong. It punishes the diligent and creative, severely damages social productivity, and violates the natural order. Eliminating communism, on the other hand, is the most barbaric, cruel, and heartless idea in human history. It destroys and desecrates the beautiful hearts of the hardworking, kind, honest, and sincere majority. It is the ultimate display of inhumanity and inevitably leads to social chaos and violence, leaving no one able to live well. At today's stage of human civilization, all matters should center on human beings. All laws, regulations, and practices should aim to minimize harm to people. Harmony must always be the theme of civilization, primarily harmony between individuals. When individuals live harmoniously, society becomes harmonious. When society is harmonious, humanity's relationship with nature can also be harmonious. Economic development relies on the wealthy. Without them, the poor alone cannot develop the economy. Therefore, society must respect the rich. Ensuring social harmony, stability, and long-term peace relies on communism. The wealthy alone cannot guarantee these. Hence, we should encourage and develop communist communities. Further perfecting the communist community. Xuefeng, April 28, 2013. The future is bright, but the road is winding. We are engaged in a pioneering enterprise without precedent and unmatched in history, a most bright, civilized, and noble undertaking, a mission to save the earth and humanity. Any truly great endeavor must face countless challenges, otherwise, it would not be a great endeavor. We are honored to participate in this magnificent undertaking. It is the wish of deities, Buddhas, immortals, sages, and wise people across history and cultures, as well as the hope of countless diligent, kind, sincere, honest, and humble people. It is the only path to reach the highest realm of life and existence. Our life's value is realized in this endeavor, and our very purpose for living is reflected here. Without difficulties, there is no pioneering. Without obstacles, there is no climbing. Without risks, there is no exploration. Without courage to face death and the boldness to persevere, grand ambitions cannot be achieved. Death may be frightening, but the torment and abuse of the mind and spirit are far worse. That is worse than death itself. Mere survival is not our nature. Living an ordinary, mediocre life is not our philosophy. Seeking comfort through petty tricks, opportunism, or schemes is not the life we pursue. We are determined to carve out a sunlit path for humanity and lead people into an infinitely beautiful future. Currently, the work we are engaged in is not understood by most people. The realization of a truly communist lifestyle has already emerged on Earth, yet people largely ignore it. Doubts are natural. Transitioning from a foul-smelling environment to one of fresh, clean air can be disorienting. After long-term bondage, freedom can feel strange and unsettling. When true liberty arrives, people may feel lost and fearful, like someone who has lived in a hut all their life suddenly moving into a 5-star hotel. Therefore, we must patiently wait for people to awaken and recognize the truth. The effective way to overcome barbarism is not through words, flattery toward the powerful, divine powers, spells, firearms, or martial arts, but through living reality. This requires that we build our home into a meticulous, genuine communist community, the most ideal living model for humanity, letting the facts speak for themselves and showing people how they should live. To achieve this, the following 8 aspects must continue to be upheld. Each contributes according to ability and takes according to need. Complete selflessness, with no personal possessions. No management, everyone manages themselves. Cherish nature and maintain harmony with it, making the home lush, vibrant, clean, and spotless. Harmonious relationships among people, with no quarrels or conflicts. No theft or dishonesty, with doors open at night. Proper care for the elderly, proper nurturing and education for children, and absolute protection of women's dignity and safety. Beautiful ecological environment, with all development sustainable. Accordingly, each member's personal qualities must meet these 8 standards. Diligence, 2. Kindness, 3. Sincerity, 4. Simplicity, 5. Trustworthiness, 6. Friendliness, 7. Selflessness, 8. Resilience. As long as we remain steadfast in our faith, principles, and care for our home, people will gradually understand. Central and local governments will support us. All fog will eventually clear, and a brilliant dawn will inevitably arrive. The storm facing the communist community has only just begun. Power cuts and disruptions are merely the opening act. Let the storm come stronger. Let us, the fearless storm petrels, soar boldly through the raging wind and rain. Has Lifechanyuan destroyed families? Xuefeng, December 7, 2013. The philosophy of Lifechanyuan is to dismantle small families and establish large, communal families. First of all, the troubles, sorrows, and tragedies within small families have been happening across history, in all cultures, for thousands of years. In today's world, the global trend of divorces is unstoppable. These phenomena are not caused by Lifechanyuan. In other words, whether Lifechanyuan exists or not, the tragedies occurring in small families and their gradual disintegration are historical trends. As products of private ownership, small families as a form of production relations no longer fit the development of productive forces. Their breakdown and eventual disappearance is an inevitable result of civilization's evolution. How should life continue after small families dissolve? Answer: by living in a communist-style large family. What advantages does a communist large family have over a small family? Answer: take the second home large family established by Lifechanyuan as an example. The care of the elderly is no longer the children's responsibility, and the upbringing and education of children is no longer the parents' concern. All work in the large family is specialized and systematized. Each person performs a single task. Cooks cook, laundry workers do laundry, cleaners handle cleaning, gardeners plant vegetables, compost workers take care of compost, caretakers manage livestock, repair workers handle repairs, and so on. This eliminates tedious household chores, giving people more leisure time to study, enjoy entertainment, and pursue personal interests. In addition, each member has a very comfortable private room, undisturbed, a sacred space of freedom. People can be lively or quiet as they wish, in perfect balance and order. Currently, 5 small family units live together in the second home. The 2 largest have 10 and 6 members respectively, including grandparents, parents, and children, all living in the communal home. There are 18 couples living there. Everyone enjoys life happily, freely, and with dignity. This undeniable fact shows that the philosophy of Lifechanyuan is correct. Although small families appear to no longer exist, people live with more dignity, more fulfillment, greater humanity, and superiority. If the philosophy only advocated dismantling small families without offering a happier, better way of life, it would indeed destroy families. But Lifechanyuan has found such a path, and it has been successfully proven in practice. Therefore, it does not destroy families. Rather, it strengthens families, human relationships, higher human qualities, and humanity itself. In the home, the 18 couples hardly quarrel or argue. They no longer provoke or annoy each other, but live more harmoniously, respectfully, and peacefully. Does this not prove that communist-style large family life in the second home is superior to small family life? Elderly members can enjoy a carefree old age, and children can develop fully in body, mind, and spirit. Not a single elder wishes to leave the home, nor does any child want to return to traditional small family life. Young and middle-aged people also prefer to stay. This is an undeniable fact. We hope the government and society reflect before giving negative judgments on the second home communal life. Chinese President Xi Jinping teaches us to boldly innovate in both theory and practice. What a broad-minded and open philosophy! If we follow President Xi's guidance, it will not take long before the Chinese nation becomes a model for all humanity to learn from. The 26 Unshakables of Lifechanyuan. Xuefeng, December 9, 2013. The people's yearning for a better life is our goal. Xi Jinping. We should encourage local governments, grassroots organizations, and the people to boldly explore, take the lead, and innovate in theory and practice, continuously deepening our understanding of reform rules. Xi Jinping. No new thing grows smoothly. If you encounter setbacks and give up, you are not a true communist and not a practitioner with the highest aspiration. You will never reach the peak of life and existence. Over more than 10 years of theoretical construction and more than 4 years of practice, the philosophy and practice of Lifechanyuan have proven correct. Any setbacks are not due to flaws in the philosophy or practice, but arise from misunderstandings or lack of comprehension. The harder the times, the more we must uphold the principles of civilization without changing course or retreating. Under any circumstances, we must uphold the following 26 unshakables. Unshakable reverence for the greatest creator, life, and nature, and adherence to the way of the greatest creator. Unshakable alignment of thoughts and policies with the country's top leadership. Unshakable close relationship with the government. Unshakable support for the UN Charter, human rights laws, and conventions. Unshakable respect for the Constitution, laws, and regulations of the country. Unshakable belief in creating a new era for humanity, no virtuous person left behind, the world as one family, no theft at night, doors left open, where everyone is happy, free, and fulfilled. Unshakable love for one's nation and homeland. unshakable respect for ancestors, unshakable refusal to worship idols, unshakable faith in Tao without relying on powers, methods, or techniques, unshakable commitment to transparency, no secretive actions, everything is open to society, unshakable pursuit of a happy, free, and fulfilling life, unshakable confidence in continuing to build the second home as a new model of human production and life, unshakable adherence to civilized speech and behavior under all circumstances, unshakable dedication to hard work, kindness, honesty, simplicity, and integrity, unshakable practice of frugality, avoiding extravagance, waste, and formality, unshakable commitment to Handan management, preventing Lifechanyuan from becoming a political or religious organization, unshakable spirit of selfless contribution, preventing the second home from turning into a profit-driven enterprise, unshakable dedication to seeking truth from facts and speaking honestly, unshakable belief in the greatest creator and goodness, unshakable trust that the Tao's arrangements are fair and reasonable, unshakable commitment to building the home according to the scientific outlook on development, unshakable respect for every member's freedom of communication and personal liberty, unshakable commitment to the communal and ecological nature of the home, unshakable belief that the second home model of production and life will eventually be accepted by the government and the public, unshakable courage, daring, decisiveness, and willpower to strive toward the highest realms of life and existence. Buddhism teaches that things are ever-changing. In what seems unchanging, change occurs. In change, some things remain unchanging. No matter how much things change, the core must remain unshakable. If the core changes, one digs one's own grave. But if the core remains steadfast, one will eventually achieve one's aspirations and ideals. Inviting media and scholars to experience communist life. Xuefeng, December 21, 2013. Humanity's long-dreamed utopia, communism, has been fully realized here. This is life in the second home. The community has 150 residents, ranging from the oldest at 86 to the youngest at 5, with women forming the majority. Over 4 years, the following ideals have truly been achieved. Everyone contributes according to their abilities and takes according to their needs. Nothing is stolen, doors are left open at night. No marriage, no nuclear families. The elderly are cared for, the young are nurtured. No rules or regulations, no formal codes, Handan management is implemented. Zero record of crimes, zero record of quarrels or fights. Internal currency has disappeared, the environment is like a paradise. Food, clothing, housing, transportation, and life cycle, birth, aging, sickness, death, are all worry-free. Everyone is happy, joyful, free, and fulfilled. Illness is rare. People coexist harmoniously with each other, society, and nature. Without external interference, the community continuously improves and perfects itself. The Chinese nation is wise and great. Humanity's long-cherished dreams have become a living reality on Chinese soil. This is a source of pride for the nation. This is the crystallization of human wisdom, the result of continuous pursuit by sages and dedicated people across history and around the world, and the hope of all hardworking, kind, simple, sincere, and trustworthy people. It represents one of humanity's greatest spiritual and mental treasures, worthy of preservation, inheritance, research, exploration, and summarization. In today's world full of material desires, this place is truly a pure land. We hope that major media around the world, experts and scholars in the humanities and social sciences, and all those who aspire to work for the freedom and happiness of humanity will come to experience, study, research, and explore. Together, we can preserve this spiritual wealth and lay the foundation for a better future for humanity. This is the fall of all humanity, Lifechanyuan's message to the world. Xuefeng, January 8, 2014. The one who aligns with Tao, Tao will be pleased with him. The one who aligns with virtue, virtue will be pleased with him. The one who aligns with loss, loss will also be pleased with him. Tao Te Ching, Chapter 23. When you abandon the light, darkness will engulf you. When you extinguish the flame of hope, only despair remains. I, as the messenger of the greatest creator and the embodiment of gods, Buddhas, immortals, and sages, guide you and provide an example, a brand new mode of production and life, the second home. It shows you a vision of a better future, yet you rejected it. Today, Lifechanyuan, facing a great crisis through the second home, appeals to you to test your conscience, and you have failed. This is the fall of all humanity, the sorrow of humanity itself. The new lifestyle of the second home can bring happiness to every citizen of Earth, whether official or rich, scholar or poor, regardless of ethnicity, culture, religion, or political background. The benefits are immense. This is not mere theory, it is living reality. Why do you refuse? Why do you reject it? When you reject happiness, what remains? The one who aligns with loss, loss will also be pleased. You focus only on short-term interests, ignore long-term ones, focus on partial interests, ignore the whole, focus on personal interests, ignore collective interests. Earth is like a ship sailing on the vast ocean, only if all citizens row together can it be preserved. But have you done that? No. Not only have you failed, you have actively damaged the ship. The ship is already full of holes. What do you think the outcome will be? Have the lessons and warnings from nature in recent years not been enough? All religious followers around the world, you too have fallen. Your words do not match your actions. You have not followed the teachings of gods, Buddhas, immortals, and sages. You treat religion as a facade, deceiving yourselves and others. You are like Lord Ye-loving dragons only in name. Almost everyone claiming to love peace, singing songs of fairness and justice, shouting about pursuing truth, goodness, and beauty, claiming to uphold morality, you are inconsistent in words and deeds. You have fallen, and fallen even more completely. All who study anthropology, sociology, philosophy, and communism, you hide in ivory towers, blind to reality. Your theories and teachings are mere fantasies, useless to human society. You ignore Lifechanyuan's full theoretical system and practical achievements, not because you think them unworthy, but because you lack the attention and broad knowledge to understand them. Everything you do is in vain. You have fallen. Suffering people worldwide, do not think that suffering alone grants salvation. If the garden of your soul is overgrown with weeds, it is hard to grow flowers or crops. By refusing to cultivate your inner garden or undergo spiritual purification, you will remain with weeds, trapped forever in worry and pain. Communist Party members worldwide, especially those of the Chinese Communist Party, you have fallen completely. You have abandoned your beliefs, become untrustworthy. Today, on Chinese soil, the second home emerges as a full communism. Yet you, singing praises for communism, have driven it to the brink. Can you still speak of communism? You have transformed from a party serving all citizens into one serving the privileged. By trying to suppress the second home, is your so-called beautiful China not just an illusion, a pie in the sky? You seem busy, but busy with what? You cannot prioritize, you treat symptoms, not causes. Social contradictions, including conflicts between productive forces and production relations, economic base and superstructure, can these be solved by repression? The more you suppress, the more contradictions and disharmony accumulate. Even a community like the second home, which has countless benefits and no harm, is suppressed. What exactly do your 3 represent? Without me, Xuefeng, humanity has no hope. The second home is about to disappear. Are you happy? Don't be too quick to rejoice, see what awaits you. The world's deep misunderstanding of communism. Xuefeng, December 30th, 2014. Western society sees communism as a flooding beast, while Eastern society misunderstands it as shared wives and property. In reality, a communist society is simply another name for utopia, a harmonious society, or the kingdom of God. The root of this misunderstanding lies in the mistakes made by communists worldwide since the birth of Marxism. It was the errors of the entire Communist International and the failures of Lenin, Mao Zedong, and others who never truly understood the essence of communism. Communism is the most humane society, built on the principle of not harming any individual. True communism cannot be achieved through the dictatorship of the proletariat or theories of class struggle. Lifechanyuan's second home is a true communist society. We do not rely on dictatorship or struggle, we do not implement shared wives, and we do not seize capitalists' property. Instead, it is built voluntarily by all members, nurtured quietly with love, like gentle rain nourishing the soil. Facts speak louder than words, and reality is the best test. Communism is not a flooding beast, it is a true earthly paradise. To understand real communism, look at the life and history of the second home. Only communism can save humanity. Xuefeng, August 8, 2016. Capitalism has brought tremendous progress to humanity. Today, the convenience of transportation and communication, the abundance of goods, and the fact that the earth can sustain over 7 billion people are mainly thanks to the development of capitalism. Without capitalism, human civilization as we know it would not exist. Capitalists are the elite of human society. They have created vast material wealth and provided employment for many citizens. Without capitalists, the 7 billion people on Earth would live in poverty, backwardness, and scarcity. However, capitalism has gradually revealed 3 major dilemmas it cannot overcome. First, unequal distribution of wealth. Second, excessive consumption of natural resources. And third, the reinforcement of human selfishness and greed. According to a report by China News Service in New York on January 20, 2015, the richest 1% of the world's population owns 48% of global wealth. The next 19% control 46%, leaving only 5.5% of wealth for the remaining 80% of people. Unequal wealth distribution causes many social problems, including 1. Get-rich-quick mentality leading to crime, 2. Resentment toward the rich and violence, 3. Producing counterfeit goods, 4. Forcibly seizing resources, 5. Drug production and trafficking, 6. Jealousy and conflict, 7. Theft, fraud, extortion, gambling, risky speculation, and corruption, 8. Violence, and more. These problems cannot be solved under the capitalist production system. The second dilemma is the overconsumption of natural resources. Mohan Munasinghe, Vice Chair of the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and board member of the International Green Cross, said that by 2012, humanity had already used up 50% of the Earth's sustainable natural resources. At this rate, by 2030, humans will need 2 Earths' worth of resources to meet demand. Overconsumption of resources not only threatens sustainable development but also triggers natural disasters. Recent droughts, floods, hurricanes, glacier melts, Arctic ice loss, rising sea levels, drying lakes, river source degradation, permafrost thawing, climate warming, biodiversity loss, and pollution of water, soil, and air are all clear examples. Worse, these disasters are accelerating geometrically. Within 15 years, many areas may become uninhabitable, creating hundreds of millions of climate refugees, which will intensify social unrest. Existing governments, including the UN, will be powerless to stop this. Capitalism is based on selfishness and greed. Everyone's efforts are primarily for personal gain, pursuing wealth and resources relentlessly. This excessive desire drives overdevelopment and overconsumption, causing air, water, and soil pollution, global warming, and biodiversity loss. Stephen Hawking once predicted that human selfishness could lead to extinction within 200 years. Beyond wealth inequality, resource overuse, and greed, financial crises, military spending, population growth, bureaucratic bloat, and waste are additional systemic problems that humanity cannot overcome. If unaddressed, humans have no future. Within a century, civilization may face complete collapse. The United States, the most developed capitalist country, consumes enormous resources. According to Singapore's Lianhe Xiaobao, if everyone in the world lived like Americans, humanity would need 5 Earths. CIPRI data, Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, reported on April 11, 2016, that global military spending in 2015 was $1.7 trillion, with $596 billion from the US alone. Just considering US consumption and military spending, capitalism is driving the planet toward resource exhaustion. Global population growth is another challenge. UN data show the world population increases by 80 million per year. It is expected to rise from 7.3 billion in 2015 to 8.1 billion in 2023 and 9.6 billion by 2050. The rising population and higher consumption increase humanity's demand for limited resources. Meeting the basic needs of over 7 billion people requires vast resources. Without effective population control, resources will deplete quickly, causing disasters in the near future. Humanity faces an existential crisis. The best solution is a global transition to communism. Only communism can save humanity. Communism is not just a new way of producing and living, it is a noble belief, a vision held by the sages since Plato, and the ideal life sought by laborers everywhere. Communism represents universal values. It can resolve social ills like racism, religious disputes, national conflicts, inequality, greed, waste, corruption, population growth, military spending, bureaucratic bloat, and pollution. It also purifies the human soul and elevates moral character, enriching both material and spiritual life, and greatly enhancing happiness. The communism I describe differs significantly from Marx's vision. The methods and paths to achieve communist relations are different from those of Lenin and Mao. Please do not judge our communism based on previous theories or experiences. To distinguish it from Marxist-Leninist communism, we temporarily call our current practice Xuefeng-Style communism. Xuefeng-Style communism has been practiced for over 7 years. Experience proves it can fully overcome humanity's crises, including wealth inequality, overconsumption, overpopulation, greed, financial crises, military spending, bureaucratic bloat, and waste. It can bring unprecedentedly good life to humans. Xuefeng-Style communism has achieved the following in practice. Everyone contributes according to ability and receives according to need. Everyone has work, housing, and food. No theft, fraud, robbery, or deceit. No marriage, no families, no internal currency. Freedom in love, no promiscuity, no sexually transmitted diseases, harmonious relationships. Beautiful, clean, and orderly environment. No private property, everything is communal. Low medical costs, physiological aging is slow, ideal life expectancy over 80, aiming for 120 disease-free. Elderly cared for, children nurtured, social care replaces family burden, no empty nest elders or problem children. Harmony among humans, society, and nature, no conflicts, environmental care, abundant greenery. No crime, very rare quarrels or fights. Organic farming, zero pollution, waste properly managed, water purified. No administrative staff, no hierarchy, self-management. No religious ceremonies or idol worship. Tasks fully assigned, household chores eliminated. Only natural festivals celebrated. Free external communication, community entry and exit voluntary. Self-sufficient, no outside assistance or expropriation. Member rotation every 3 years to prevent cliques and emotional entanglement. High resource sharing, 150 people only need 5 cars, saving 75% of resources compared to capitalism. No formal rules or regulations, only natural and civilized ways observed. Strong integrity system, dishonest individuals have no place. Planned birth, none in 7 years to respect law and population limits. Funeral practices, simple farewell, cremation, ashes scattered in nature, no tombs or memorials. Using GPI, HDI, or NHI, the community ranks at the top. If these 24 points were applied globally, all human crises would disappear. To capitalists, Xuefeng-Style communism will not take your wealth and will provide safety, stability, and spiritual fulfillment, enabling self-actualization per Maslow's hierarchy. To governments, Xuefeng-Style communism poses no threat to administration or authority. It is a new production and lifestyle system, not a religion or political group. To the global poor, 80% of the population owning 5.5% of wealth, your future lies in Xuefeng-Style communism. Only communism can save you. Band-aid solutions can no longer solve humanity's problems. Root causes must be addressed through global transition to communism. How to transition from capitalism to Xuefeng-Style communism. Study and learn from successful Xuefeng-Style communism practices. UN-led, government-supported, planned, and phased implementation. Begin with local pilot zones, expand if successful. Do not seize capitalist wealth, participation must be voluntary. Participants must undergo deep spiritual purification. After 7 years, Xuefeng-Style communism is still imperfect. Ongoing global guidance, government support, and wise participation are needed. The future is bright, but the road is tortuous. No matter the obstacles, humanity must strive to survive and thrive. Introduction to Xuefeng-Style Communism. Xuefeng, February 6, 2020. In response to the respect and requests of Wuji Holy Mother, Holy Beijing Lam, and Amichuofo, I offer a brief introduction to Xuefeng-Style Communism as a way to express my respect and gratitude to them. More than 20 years ago, a strange car accident awakened my spiritual awareness. As a mortal, I had already died in that accident. Reborn in spirit, I began exploring the origins of the greatest creator, the universe, life, and humanity, as well as the value and meaning of life, the mysteries of life. Only communism can save humanity. Xuefeng, August 8, 2016. Capitalism has brought tremendous progress to humanity. Today, the convenience of transportation and communication, the abundance of goods, and the fact that the Earth can sustain over 7 billion people are mainly thanks to the development of capitalism. Without capitalism, human civilization as we know it would not exist. Capitalists are the elite of human society. They have created vast material wealth and provided employment for many citizens. Without capitalists, the 7 billion people on Earth would live in poverty, backwardness, and scarcity. However, capitalism has gradually revealed three major dilemmas it cannot overcome. First, unequal distribution of wealth. Second, excessive consumption of natural resources. And third, the reinforcement of human selfishness and greed. According to a report by China News Service in New York on January 20, 2015, the richest 1% of the world's population owns 48% of global wealth. The next 19% control 46%, leaving only 5.5% of wealth for the remaining 80% of people. Unequal wealth distribution causes many social problems, including 1. Get-rich-quick mentality leading to crime, 2. Resentment toward the rich and violence, 3. Producing counterfeit goods, 4. Forcibly seizing resources, 5. Drug production and trafficking, 6. Jealousy and conflict, 7. Theft, fraud, extortion, gambling, risky speculation, and corruption, 8. Violence, and more. These problems cannot be solved under the capitalist production system. The second dilemma is the overconsumption of natural resources. Mohan Munasinghe, Vice Chair of the UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and board member of the International Green Cross, said that by 2012, humanity had already used up 50% of the Earth's sustainable natural resources. At this rate, by 2030, humans will need 2 Earths' worth of resources to meet demand. Overconsumption of resources not only threatens sustainable development but also triggers natural disasters. Recent droughts, floods, hurricanes, glacier melts, Arctic ice loss, rising sea levels, drying lakes, river source degradation, permafrost thawing, climate warming, biodiversity loss, and pollution of water, soil, and air are all clear examples. Worse, these disasters are accelerating geometrically. Within 15 years, many areas may become uninhabitable, creating hundreds of millions of climate refugees, which will intensify social unrest. Existing governments, including the UN, will be powerless to stop this. Capitalism is based on selfishness and greed. Everyone's efforts are primarily for personal gain, pursuing wealth and resources relentlessly. This excessive desire drives overdevelopment and overconsumption, causing air, water, and soil pollution, global warming, and biodiversity loss. Stephen Hawking once predicted that human selfishness could lead to extinction within 200 years. Beyond wealth inequality, resource overuse, and greed, financial crises, military spending, population growth, bureaucratic bloat, and waste are additional systemic problems that humanity cannot overcome. If unaddressed, humans have no future. Within a century, civilization may face complete collapse. The United States, the most developed capitalist country, consumes enormous resources. According to Singapore's Lianhe Xiaobao, if everyone in the world lived like Americans, humanity would need 5 Earths. CIPRI data, Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, reported on April 11, 2016, that global military spending in 2015 was $1.7 trillion, with $596 billion from the U.S. alone. Just considering U.S. consumption and military spending, capitalism is driving the planet toward resource exhaustion. Global population growth is another challenge. UN data show the world population increases by 80 million per year. It is expected to rise from 7.3 billion in 2015 to 8.1 billion in 2023 and 9.6 billion by 2050. The rising population and higher consumption increase humanity's demand for limited resources. Meeting the basic needs of over 7 billion people requires vast resources. Without effective population control, resources will deplete quickly, causing disasters in the near future. Humanity faces an existential crisis. The best solution is a global transition to communism. Only communism can save humanity. Communism is not just a new way of producing and living, it is a noble belief, a vision held by the sages since Plato, and the ideal life sought by laborers everywhere. Communism represents universal values. It can resolve social ills like racism, religious disputes, national conflicts, inequality, greed, waste, corruption, population growth, military spending, bureaucratic bloat, and pollution. It also purifies the human soul and elevates moral character, enriching both material and spiritual life, and greatly enhancing happiness. The communism I describe differs significantly from Marx's vision. The methods and paths to achieve communist relations are different from those of Lenin and Mao. Please do not judge our communism based on previous theories or experiences. To distinguish it from Marxist-Leninist communism, we temporarily call our current practice Xuefeng-Style communism. Xuefeng-Style communism has been practiced for over 7 years. Experience proves it can fully overcome humanity's crises, including wealth inequality, overconsumption, overpopulation, greed, financial crises, military spending, bureaucratic bloat, and waste. It can bring unprecedentedly good life to humans. Xuefeng-Style communism has achieved the following in practice. Everyone contributes according to ability and receives according to need. Everyone has work, housing, and food. No theft, fraud, robbery, or deceit. No marriage, no families, no internal currency. Freedom in love, no promiscuity, no sexually transmitted diseases, harmonious relationships. Beautiful, clean, and orderly environment. No private property, everything is communal. Low medical costs, physiological aging is slow, ideal life expectancy over 80, aiming for 120 disease-free. Elderly cared for, children nurtured, social care replaces family burden, no empty nest elders or problem children. Harmony among humans, society, and nature, no conflicts, environmental care, abundant greenery. No crime, very rare quarrels or fights. Organic farming, zero pollution, waste properly managed, water purified. No administrative staff, no hierarchy, self-management. No religious ceremonies or idol worship. Tasks fully assigned, household chores eliminated. Only natural festivals celebrated. Free external communication, community entry and exit voluntary. Self-sufficient, no outside assistance or expropriation. Member rotation every 3 years to prevent cliques and emotional entanglement. High resource sharing, 150 people only need 5 cars, saving 75% of resources compared to capitalism. No formal rules or regulations, only natural and civilized ways observed. Strong integrity system, dishonest individuals have no place. Planned birth, none in 7 years to respect law and population limits. Funeral practices, simple farewell, cremation, ashes scattered in nature, no tombs or memorials. Using GPI, HDI, or NHI, the community ranks at the top. If these 24 points were applied globally, all human crises would disappear. To capitalists, Xuefeng-Style communism will not take your wealth and will provide safety, stability, and spiritual fulfillment, enabling self-actualization per Maslow's hierarchy. To governments, Xuefeng-Style communism poses no threat to administration or authority. It is a new production and lifestyle system, not a religion or political group. To the global poor, 80% of the population owning 5.5% of wealth, your future lies in Xuefeng-Style communism. Only communism can save you. Band-aid solutions can no longer solve humanity's problems. Root causes must be addressed through global transition to communism. How to transition from capitalism to Xuefeng-Style communism. Study and learn from successful Xuefeng-Style communism practices. UN-led, government-supported, planned, and phased implementation. Begin with local pilot zones, expand if successful. Do not seize capitalist wealth, participation must be voluntary. Participants must undergo deep spiritual purification. After 7 years, Xuefeng-Style communism is still imperfect. Ongoing global guidance, government support, and wise participation are needed. The future is bright, but the road is tortuous. No matter the obstacles, humanity must strive to survive and thrive. Introduction to Xuefeng-Style communism. Xuefeng, February 6, 2020. In response to the respect and requests of Wuji Holy Mother, Holy Beijing Lam, and Amichuofo, I offer a brief introduction to Xuefeng-Style communism as a way to express my respect and gratitude to them. More than 20 years ago, a strange car accident awakened my spiritual awareness. As a mortal, I had already died in that accident. Reborn in spirit, I began exploring the origins of the greatest creator, the universe, life, and humanity, as well as the value and meaning of life, the mysteries of life, and the mysteries of time and space. I have always recorded my discoveries. Up to today, I have written nearly 10 million words, most of which have been made public. On Bushyuan alone, the total clicks on my theories have exceeded 200 million. I call my theoretical system, Lifechanyuan, and its practical application, Life Oasis, initially the second home. I call myself a messenger of the greatest creator, an embodiment of gods, Buddhas, immortals, and saints. This is reasonable, not a fleeting thought. Anyone who has read the book of the greatest creator would find it hard to deny this definition. I am united with Jesus Christ, Buddha Shakyamuni, immortal Laozi, and the ancient sage Muhammad. This can be verified by my words and actions. My main task is to harvest the ripe crops. Xuefeng-Style communism is merely a byproduct. It was created mainly so that the Chanyuan celestials of Lifechanyuan could settle worldly attachments, repay debts, and perfect the anti-material structure of life in order to ascend to the 1,000-year world, 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world and its celestial island continent. Humanity will eventually understand that the greatest people in the world are those who dedicate themselves to the benefit of all, not presidents, scientists, entrepreneurs, billionaires, or national heroes. Likewise, practitioners in spiritual cultivation will understand that only those who devote their entire body and mind to the happiness of all humanity have hope to escape reincarnation and enter heaven. The only reliable guarantee of universal human happiness is the realization of communism, where all teachings, parties, and nations converge into one. Communism was originally a noble and elegant lady, but it has been demonized as a promiscuous woman. This is not the fault of the public but the result of communism practitioners since Marx. Marx's theory of communism was incomplete. Lenin, Mao Zedong, and others implemented communism by depriving capitalists and landlords of their wealth, which violated natural laws and principles. Therefore, resistance and failure were inevitable. Does this mean the ideal of communism was wrong? Not at all. To reflect the true meaning and scope of communism, I call my theoretical and practical work Xuefeng-Style communism to distinguish it from the traditional, demonized version. The root of human suffering is selfishness. The more selfish a person is, the more suffering they will experience. This applies to individuals, nations, groups, and countries. Capitalism maximizes human selfish desire, and thus is unsustainable for humanity. Today's climate change, environmental degradation, and various human conflicts are largely consequences of capitalism. Regardless of how one evaluates the Chinese Communist Party, its emergence was historically inevitable. Its birth was driven by the failure of old Chinese capitalists and landlords to care for the working masses, forcing them to rise in rebellion. This proves that capitalism does not work in China. Even decades of reform and opening up followed a capitalist path, resulting in corruption, widening wealth gaps, rampant immorality, and moral decay. China is a society rooted in human relations, and capitalism is cold and unfeeling, thus, China cannot follow the capitalist road. Socialism, in reality, suppresses productivity and oppresses elites, leaving the poor short-sighted and passive, inevitably leading to poverty and isolation. So, what is China's path? The answer is, the path of Xuefeng-Style communism. Xuefeng-Style communism follows natural principles. It does not deprive or seize the wealth of capitalists or landlords. It is a completely new model of production and living, unprecedented in human history, where participation is voluntary. A key element is that there can be no marriages or private property in the community. All wealth is shared, from each according to ability, to each according to need. Every member must possess nothing yet simultaneously have everything. Xuefeng-Style communism implements Han-Dun management. In this system, there are no leaders, no management classes, only servers. Management is not the question, service is. No one can hold power above others. Everyone is a worker, a server, with only different divisions of labor and no hierarchy or wealth disparity. A detailed description of Xuefeng-style communism requires extensive writing. Interested readers can refer to the 6 bilingual Lifechanyuan websites, which contain text and images. Without correct theoretical guidance, action is blind. Correctness can only be tested through practice. Since April 18, 2009, Lifechanyuan has been establishing Xuefeng-style communist communities. Over 10 years, though 9 idyllic communities in Yunnan, Jiangsu, and Xinjiang were forcibly disbanded due to government misunderstanding, we have never stopped and will never stop. Is Xuefeng-style communism effective? Ask the nearly 200 Chanyuan celestials who have participated in building these communities. If it were not, it would have collapsed long ago. The reason they remain confident and pursue this beautiful life is that it fulfills the best wishes of the working masses. Reality has given the most perfect answer. The benefits of life under Xuefeng-style communism are countless. Among them, it serves as a model for sustainable human development. We have written to the United Nations, stating that to overcome humanity's crises, the traditional modes of production and living must change. Without such change, humanity risks total extinction. One important lesson: anyone wishing to live in a Xuefeng-style communist community must first purify their spirit. Imperfect individuals will bring trouble and suffering, particularly because of human laziness and aversion to hard work. Therefore, full-scale implementation is bound to fail at present. Only small-scale, local attempts are feasible. With the advancement of human civilization and changes in nature, humanity will eventually willingly integrate into Xuefeng-style communism. The Chinese nation is great, with countless virtuous and talented individuals. Many geniuses are buried in the mundane world. The key issue is that China has yet to establish an ideal system. I call systems or mechanisms programs, which are more important than moral education. In practice, avoid overemphasizing moral lectures. Focus first on creating perfect production and living order. The people hold infinite creativity and wisdom. Once their initiative and creativity are mobilized, China can produce miracles, create brilliant culture, and gain the respect of all nations. I am old. I can only lay a foundation for those aspiring to a world of equality. Beyond the sky, there is always a higher sky. Beyond people, there are always greater people. May you strive to bring humanity into the long-awaited new era of Lifechanyuan. Only with stars shining brightly does the universe show vitality. Only with talented people does a nation truly become great. Communism, the only path to happiness for the working masses. Xuefeng, November 20, 2020. Communism is, in essence, the principle of sharing. The more widely resources are shared, the greater their value. The most effective way to maximize the value of all resources is through sharing. This is the core of communism. Humans are selfish. By nature, people resist communism. Especially when someone possesses material wealth, they fear sharing the most. Even if a person owns only a broken bicycle, they are unwilling to share it. This is human nature. When a person possesses not only wealth but also power, status, and reputation, they naturally want themselves and their families to live better than those around them. They want to be envied, satisfying their vanity, and so they are even less willing to share. Since Marx established communist theory, communist movements have almost always relied on violence, harming the interests of property owners. Marx's theory was incomplete and flawed, and the actions of communism practitioners were often blind. This led to the failure of communist movements. It is therefore understandable that people instinctively resist and dislike communism. From historical experience, it is understandable when someone demonizes or resists communism. In fact, their resistance was justified, because historical, communist, movements were completely contrary to true communism. True communism is elegant, gentle, and civilized, not coercive, violent, or based on depriving others of their property. Who has suffered the most in human history? Certainly the working masses, the ordinary people. For thousands of years, their situation has barely changed. They remain the bearers of suffering. I grew up in Asia, lived over 10 years in Africa, nearly 4 years in North America, and even spent several months with primitive tribes in Oceania. I deeply felt and experienced the pain and worries of the working masses. To relieve their suffering, I immersed myself in the Bible, Buddhist scriptures, the Quran, and the Tao Te Ching. I also studied Western and Eastern spiritual practices, such as Osho, while constantly observing global climate, ecological, and political changes. What I want to tell humanity is, the only bright path for the working masses is communism. So, what is communism? I have explained some of it in theory, but no theory can fully reveal the essence of things or cover their entire scope. Only by creating something tangible, allowing people to experience it directly, can the understanding be complete. Therefore, with the Chanyuan Celestials, I established the Life Oasis, formerly the Second Home. This Life Oasis is true communism. To understand communism fully, one should visit Lifechanyuan's Life Oasis and experience it firsthand. Many people equate communism with utopia, which is not entirely wrong. Utopia is the embryo of communism. Most historical utopias failed. To understand why, I analyzed historical utopias, especially Owen's New Harmony, in America. Its failure was primarily because the utopian leaders lacked a clear vision or blueprint and acted only on enthusiasm. When faced with strong winds, waves, and whirlpools, they drowned. To distinguish it from historical communist theories and practices, I call the Lifechanyuan Life Oasis Xuefeng-Style communism. This form of communism can resolve territorial disputes between nations, prevent overconsumption of natural resources, reduce government corruption, avoid tragedies like Jan Galen's, lower crime by 75%, allow people to live in peace, eliminate war, chaos, famine, and reduce the suicide rate by over half, enabling 98% of people to live happily, freely, and contentedly. Who are the working masses? The working masses are those who spend their lives struggling for food, clothing, shelter, and survival, those who labor hard yet barely make ends meet, those who suffer oppression and hardship every day, those who hope to prosper year after year but remain poor, wearing patched clothes, lacking security or hope. They resent government officials but must outwardly smile and bow in subservience. In short, anyone striving with their own hands and labor to achieve a better life is part of the working masses. The harsh reality, those who rely on labor and hard work to achieve a good life can never fully escape worries, suffering, anxiety, or fear. This has been true for thousands of years, remains true today, and will continue for millennia, unless traditional modes of production and living are completely changed and humanity enters a Xuefeng-style communist society. Otherwise, generations will continue dreaming endlessly. Moral education is always fragile. Christian, Buddhist, Islamic, Confucian, and other philosophical teachings have been easily crushed by reality. In China today, even Communist Party officials, raised on Mao Zedong thought, abandon it in the face of financial temptation. Corruption reaches shocking levels. Millions or tens of millions are insufficient. They aim for billions. Who among these, servants of the people, cares about people like Yang Galen? Who cares about the working masses? Decades of moral education achieve nothing. Consider the recent U.S. presidential election. Before the vote was fully counted, mainstream media prematurely declared Biden the winner, followed by congratulatory messages from leaders in the UK, France, Germany, Israel, and even Taiwan. Respecting facts and listening to the people is the minimum moral requirement. Yet these actions violated basic moral and legal standards. Most Western societies are influenced by Christian moral education, so where was the morality in the media and political leaders? In democratic countries, this happens. In non-democratic countries, moral education is even less effective. Reality shows that moral education alone cannot ensure the working masses live in peace and happiness. Inspirational speeches and teachings, including contemporary Buddhist sermons or calls to return to traditional Chinese culture, are merely anesthetics or even poison. Those who care about the working masses must create a program, a system, to guarantee their well-being. People advocate placing power in the cage of systems to ensure officials cannot, dare not, or do not want to be corrupt. Sounds good, but if the system itself fosters corruption, it cannot restrain it. Instead, it becomes a breeding ground for corruption. Can such a system really contain power or prevent corruption? Throughout Chinese history, dynasties changed many times. The result? Only the rulers changed, the system remained the same. Consequently, the working masses remained oppressed. Changing traditional production and living modes is essential. No one, no matter how competent, can alter this. Even implementing US-style democracy fails if the system remains flawed. Laboring masses would quickly realize that their freedom and happiness remain unreachable. Only Xuefeng-style communism is the true path to happiness for the working masses. Lifechanyuan's life oasis production and living model is a paradise for them. Many working masses cling to hope, believing that by being clever or hardworking, they can rise into the upper class. Sure, a few might succeed, but the probability is extremely low. Others believe that owning a million-yuan house or a car makes them no longer part of the working masses. This is mere self-delusion. 3 days without fuel, the car is worthless. 3 days without food, the house is just a shelter. A major disaster cannot be mitigated by property or vehicles. Some believe that becoming a government employee secures their future, but this is merely psychological comfort. Age will reveal reality. Xuefeng-style communism is not only the path to happiness for the working masses, but also for capitalists, government officials, and spiritual practitioners aiming for enlightenment. Its principles cannot be fully explained in one article. Those with doubts can ask Chanyuan celestials who have lived in and experienced it. Remember this, communism is the only path to happiness for the working masses and the only way forward for humanity. The root of suffering for the poor and the way to liberation. Xuefeng, February 5, 2021. I am a poor person, so I understand the root of suffering for the poor. Leaving aside internal factors, let's focus on external ones. There are 3 main external causes of suffering for the poor. First, oppressive governance. Second, natural disasters, including diseases. And third, the mutual torment among poor people. Among these three, the mutual torment among the poor is the primary source of suffering. In fact, at least 75% of the suffering of poor people comes from conflicts and mistreatment between themselves. Who are the poor? Farmers, workers, small business owners, laborers, migrant workers, service staff, janitors, urban management officers, security guards, police, soldiers, teachers, and civil servants, all are poor. Or we could say, aside from the wealthy, government officials, various experts, scholars, and celebrities, everyone else is poor. Mutual oppression among the poor is a common phenomenon in Chinese society. The poorer people are, the more intensely they oppress one another. The lower someone is in the social hierarchy, the harsher the mistreatment among peers. Urban management officers harassing street vendors. This is a typical case of the poor oppressing the poor. Police, including traffic officers, setting obstacles for others. That is also poor people oppressing other poor people. Security guards beating people, thieves stealing from the poor, civil servants undermining each other, teachers disciplining students' parents, soldiers harming fellow soldiers, all are forms of the poor oppressing the poor. Even within families, siblings, in-laws, relatives, friends, neighbors, villages, and communities, these conflicts and oppressions are countless. Poor people should empathize and support each other, yet in reality, they often act ruthlessly toward one another. Even a slight advantage in social status, income, or power leads them to treat those less fortunate than themselves with cruelty, devoid of compassion or mercy. For example, urban management officers, who are themselves poor, can harshly punish street vendors, even elderly grandparents, simply because they hold a bit of power. Why does this happen? If the poor did not oppress each other, even the harshest natural disasters or oppressive policies could not cause such overwhelming suffering. If the poor stopped tormenting each other, the human world would become a paradise. How can the poor stop oppressing one another? Moral teachings alone are insufficient. Ancestors and religions have long taught people to act with benevolence, righteousness, propriety, wisdom, and faith, to care for and love each other, to live harmoniously, to cultivate virtue, and not harm others. Yet for thousands of years, mutual oppression among the poor has never ceased, and incidents happen daily. Why? The problem lies in private ownership and the structure of marriage and family. Everyone understands morality, but the pressures of reality, money, and personal interests are far stronger. People choose material gain over moral conscience. Only by eliminating fears and anxieties related to food, clothing, shelter, health, and survival can oppression among the poor be eradicated. For example, preventing a single adult from desiring a romantic partner is impossible. The only real solution is to provide access to companionship. Simply teaching morals or religion without addressing real needs is futile. So, what is the ultimate solution to end poor people oppressing each other? Answer: put all poor people into a communist society. In a communist society, the phenomenon of poor people oppressing poor people will disappear. When communism is mentioned, people instinctively consider it an impossible utopia, sometimes even calling it evil. Today, very few people worldwide truly believe in communism, and even those who pledge loyalty rarely act to realize it. In China, the suppression of the Life Oasis community, created by Lifechanyuan as a communist model, is a glaring example, highlighting the irony. Communism is not an unattainable ideal. True communism has already been realized in China and has been operating for 11 years. This is the Life Oasis. In the life oasis, all are poor people. Mutual oppression is almost non-existent. The more honest, diligent, and kind someone is, the more they are respected and cared for. With basic needs for survival, health, and safety met, there is no reason to harm one another. In the life oasis, men become responsible, virtuous gentlemen, women become gentle and loving, elders enjoy peaceful retirement, and children grow up happily. It is profoundly beautiful. In conclusion, for poor people to escape suffering and end the tragedy of mutual oppression, there is only one path: entering a communist society. The miraculous power of faith and hope. Xuefeng, March 21, 2021. On September 9, 2019, the World Health Organization reported that an average of 800,000 people die by suicide globally each year. Statistics show that the number of suicide attempts is 20 times higher than the number of completed suicides. Suicide happens because people lose faith and hope. If we calculate the impact of each suicide or attempted suicide on an average of 4 people, 64 million people worldwide are thrown into extreme suffering each year. Adding those suffering from illness, conflict, poverty, war, disasters, and other causes, it is not an exaggeration to say that 200 to 300 million people live in suffering annually. We cannot ignore this. We must liberate people from their suffering. The path to liberation is through faith and hope, for faith and hope possess miraculous power. During a major earthquake in Los Angeles, 14 children were rescued 36 hours after being trapped. The key factor in their survival was the faith and hope of one child and his father. The father had told his son, "No matter what happens, I will be with you." The belief that, "My father will come to save me," became the child's faith and hope, which in turn inspired the other 13 children to endure fear and despair and ultimately be rescued. On August 5, 2010, a collapse occurred at the San Jose copper mine in northern Chile, trapping 33 miners 700 meters underground. The miners hid in a refuge area where the food supply lasted only 2 or 3 days, yet they survived for 17 days on just 2 small spoonfuls of canned fish each day. They were eventually rescued on the 69th day. How did they survive in such dire conditions? The answer: by holding on to faith and hope. In moments of despair, maintaining faith and hope provides a chance to turn danger into safety. A modern example of sustaining faith and hope is the Chanyuan Celestials of Lifechanyuan. Beginning in 2009, over 100 ordinary people lived together in a communist model. Over 11 years, despite repeated hardships, they built 3 idyllic communities in Yunnan. Due to government misunderstandings, they were forced to leave, losing over 20 million yuan. They then established a community in Nanjing, only to be evicted again, and built 3 more communities in Xinjiang, also evicted. Returning to Yunnan, they rebuilt 3 communities, only to face more difficulties. Funds depleted, the world seemed to offer no safe place, yet they persevered. Communities in Thailand gained the support of local temple leaders, and despite pandemic delays, the Canadian community endured. Even when resources ran out and options were exhausted, they did not despair or stop moving forward. Their faith never wavered, and their hope never turned into disappointment. They firmly believed that the greatest creator would not abandon them, that the Tao is just, that government misunderstandings are temporary, and that as long as they acted lawfully, authorities would eventually allow them to live according to the communist model. Understanding many mysteries of the universe, space-time, and life, they faced the future with full hope and confidence. Without faith and hope, Lifechanyuan would have vanished long ago. From their practice in the life oasis of Lifechanyuan, one profound truth emerges. If all humanity follows the way of the greatest creator and the Lifechanyuan path, living and producing in the Xuefeng-Style communism model, 800,000 suicides could be prevented each year, and the suffering of hundreds of millions could not only be alleviated but eliminated. All humanity should embrace one belief. Lifechanyuan can save humankind, rescuing people from the sea of suffering. All humanity should hold one hope. As long as Lifechanyuan exists, the beautiful life that humans dream of will surely arrive. 36 Strategies of Xuefeng-Style Communism. Xuefeng, March 29, 2021. Objective: no worthy person left behind, all under heaven is one family, the Tao is followed, doors stay unlocked at night, the elderly are cared for, the young are nurtured. No countries, no religions, no political parties, no marriages or families, favorable weather, universal peace, people live in security and comfort, everyone happy, joyful, free, and fulfilled. Provide every person with a way to live, regardless of their beliefs. China must not follow capitalism or socialism, it must adopt Xuefeng-Style communism. Private property is sacred and inviolable. The property of capitalists and landlords cannot be taken. China must not antagonize the United States and must cooperate with it. China's history, full of talk of virtue, has implemented exploitation. Be bold to abandon historical methods, as history provides no solutions for today's problems. The essence of Confucianism, Buddhism, and Taoism is mostly dross. A new culture must replace the old. Encourage spontaneous organization of diverse associations to enrich spiritual, cultural, and mutual aid activities. Promote and praise the spirit of artisans and scientists rather than patriotism. Allow people to migrate freely worldwide. Promote global ethnic integration and curb nationalist superiority complexes. Support and protect individuals, groups, and media that reveal truth. Freedom of speech must be preserved. Only actions, not words, justify punishment. Anyone disabled or sacrificed in public service shall have their family fully supported by society. Administrative staff should be limited to 1 per 100 people. More officials worsen outcomes. No discrimination against outsiders. Violators must be condemned. Schools must be free, private schools encouraged, but still not allowed to charge fees. Education should focus on human development, including courses on morality and the relationship between humans and nature. Medical care must be free. Skilled practitioners can treat without licenses as long as they heal effectively. No superstition or secretive practices. All actions must follow fact, science, logic, and spiritual insight. Funerals must follow Lifechanyuan's burial system. Elderly people who lose self-care ability shall be fully supported by society with equal treatment for all. Discuss order, contracts, responsibility, and duty more than morality. Officials should be chosen based on contribution and dedication. All managers and administrators must be single. Before communism is fully realized, private entrepreneurs develop the economy. Spiritually mature individuals may join Life Oasis, while others work in private enterprises. Government does not intervene in wages or benefits. No distinction between citizens and foreigners. All are global villagers. No distinction between East and West. Only universal values are promoted. No distinction between institutional and non-institutional. Merit and virtue determine leadership. Reduce state-run economy, expand private economy. Protect traditional cultural and entertainment practices while innovating new forms. Reduce military spending, increase cultural exchange funding. Government shall not plan or manage housing, citizens decide where and how to build, trusting their wisdom and foresight. Reduce government interference, expand and energize grassroots initiative and intelligence. Gambling, drugs, local bullies, and other harmful forces must be restrained using the Life Oasis model, which can be replicated to build ideal communities. Promote stories of laborers and ordinary people showing virtue and integrity rather than emperors, heroes, celebrities, or wealthy individuals. Fewer temples, more schools. Less rigidity, more flexibility. These 36 strategies are the result of careful thought and ongoing analysis. After 20 years of research on human history, present conditions, and future trends, and 11 years of practical implementation across Africa, Asia, and North America, I have written nearly 3,000 articles. Humanity now must radically change traditional production and lifestyle patterns. Otherwise, nature's punishments will intensify, and humanity will reach a dead end. Xuefeng-style communism is fundamentally different from historical communism. Judging it by traditional concepts leads to misunderstanding and error. One fact most people do not know: Earth is managed by life forms more advanced than humans, similar to a wheat field managed by unseen hands. Humanity need not worry about Earth's future. By respecting Earth and following the intentions of its creator, humans will enjoy an unimaginably beautiful future. There are greater virtues and talents in humanity, but do not hastily reject Xuefeng-style communism. Observe first whether its principles and practices align with the development of human civilization. Celebrating the 12th anniversary of Xuefeng-style communism. Xuefeng, April 18, 2021. On April 18, 2009, a group of Chanyuan celestials gathered in Taiyuan, Shaanxi, and began practicing Xuefeng-style communism. Since then, this group has established 18 communities across Kunming, Anning, Chuxiong, Linsang, Lijiang in Yunnan, Nanjing in Jiangsu, Aksu and Korla in Xinjiang, Canada, Thailand, and other locations. Over 12 years, they traveled tens of thousands of miles, and their journey continues to this day. For 2,000 years, the Chinese nation has contributed little to human civilization, neither in thought nor in science and technology. While enjoying the achievements of Western civilization, there has been a tendency to belittle it, showing ingratitude. Like a beggar wearing new clothes thinking himself a noble, this mixture of ignorance, arrogance, lack of virtue, and barbarity, and Xuefeng-style national pride, is both pitiful and sad. Only Xuefeng-style communism can bring the Chinese nation into the ranks of human civilization. It will be China's greatest contribution to human civilization, surpassing the values of Western civilization, becoming a guiding light for humanity. Over 12 years and through countless seasons, the Chanyuan celestials striving for Xuefeng-style communism endured humiliation and hardships. Time and again they were forced from the beautiful communities they built with their sweat and effort, moving across regions only to rise from ruins again. Many fell along the way, some perished. The path of civilization is perilous. Barbarism storms across clear skies like dust, and floods repeatedly breach the dikes of civilization. Since Emperor Qin's burning of books and burying of scholars, the backbone of the Chinese nation has been broken. Without divine guidance, only tyrants or submissive slaves remained. Suppression of new ideas became the dominant theme. Difficulties did not deter the Chanyuan celestials. In this era of rampant materialism and moral decay, they remain steadfast in their faith and committed to the bottom line of civilization. Over 12 years, not a single Chanyuan celestial broke the law, nor did they harm society or nature. Only the qualities of truth, goodness, beauty, love, faith, honesty, and peace shone in the dark sky. They do not beg for permission, nor compromise their dignity to seek help. They do not rely on the hope that others will awaken their conscience. They know that ahead lie wolves, insects, tigers, rapids, and cliffs, yet they remain undaunted. Having transcended life and death, even if eating coarse grain and vegetables, wearing tattered clothes, they continue their path with grace, dripping blood, yet graceful still. Humanity will face endless suffering if traditional modes of production and life are not changed. Western models have reached their limits, and so-called socialism can only barely survive. Existing religions or political doctrines cannot bring humanity to an era of no worthy person left behind, all under heaven is one family, and, doors unlocked at night, everyone lives in peace and joy. Any thinker, philosopher, sociologist, or spiritual practitioner who does not study and practice Xuefeng-Style communism is indulging in empty lamentation, useless words and actions, merely patching old garments. Without understanding the universe, time-space, the truth of life, the operation of Tao, or natural law, such people are blind. Blind guides will inevitably lead into pits. The curtain of the great cosmic and life adjustments has already risen, and events will accelerate. No human force can resist it, just as a plague forces everyone to wear masks. Even presidents must comply, let alone ordinary people. May humanity soon embrace Xuefeng-Style communism. It is the only arc for the present era. One Globe, 64 Systems, on Humanity's Future Modes of Living. Xuefeng, April 13, 2021. Inspired by Mr. Liu Yangbing of Jiangxi and his One Country, Three Systems concept, let us explore future human modes of existence. The ideal future lifestyle for humanity is Xuefeng-Style communism, but before that, a transitional model called One Globe, 64 Systems could be implemented. The essence of this idea is that the Earth could accommodate 64 distinct modes of living. Consider the following scenario. In a pen with cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese, conflicts frequently occur due to differences in habits, food preferences, and physical traits. Chickens, ducks, and geese complain about sheep, pigs, and dogs stepping on their eggs. Sheep, pigs, and dogs complain about cows, horses, and donkeys taking their food. Cows, horses, and donkeys complain about the other animals contaminating their feeding areas. Everyone blames everyone else, over food, space, even flatulence, and life becomes unbearable. Moral education in this scenario is ineffective. The best solution is to separate them, giving each species its own pen. This prevents conflict and allows each group to thrive. Humans are similar. Some prefer capitalism, others tribal or primitive lifestyles, socialism, communism, anarchism, democracy, or dictatorship. Some prefer rice, others noodles, some eat meat, others are vegetarian, some favor monogamy, others polygamy. Placing people with such diverse preferences in the same system inevitably leads to disputes, arguments, and even violence. The solution is to let each group occupy its own living circle, allowing everyone to live peacefully according to their preferences. Thus, the idea of One Globe, 64 Systems arises. Europeans could live together in Europe, Africans in Africa, Asians in Asia, eliminating racial discrimination. Those who prefer capitalism could practice capitalism together, those who prefer socialism together, those who prefer communism together. Followers of Christianity could live together, followers of Islam together, followers of Buddhism together, and so on. People who like noodles could eat noodles, people who like rice eat rice, meat eaters live together, vegetarians together. Monogamous societies, polygamous societies, or fully communal, non-married societies could each form their own communities. In this way, just as each type of livestock has its own pen, people with different preferences can live without endless disputes. Why 64 systems? Because human survival requires 64 elements, each indispensable. Do you see? Debates among cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese are meaningless and endless. Similarly, human disputes are often meaningless. The best solution is simply for each person to live the life they prefer. Can this ideal be fully realized? Of course not, because those in power will not allow it. This proposal is meant as a thought experiment, a playful vision for when one has enough food and leisure to consider it. Only Xuefeng-style communism can solve these problems. Xuefeng, November 19, 2021. Problems such as elderly care, singlehood, broken marriages, official corruption, environmental pollution, child education and protection, toxic food, drug abuse, prostitution, gambling, fraud, theft, robbery, crises of integrity, embezzlement, bribery, and abuse of power cannot be solved by historical experience or by the current level of human understanding. They cannot be solved by Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, Mao Zedong thought, the teachings of Laozi or Confucius, nor by adopting Western-style separation of powers. Only Xuefeng-style communism can resolve them. First, let me share a key fact. Moral education is less effective than system building. A good system surpasses any form of moral preaching. Elderly care is a major issue in China and worldwide. Historically, it depended on children. Today, many Western countries rely on state welfare systems. Neither approach is ideal. Nursing homes are even more inadequate and sad. True care for the elderly means allowing them to live among youth and children, enjoying a leisurely and peaceful life. Lifechanyuan's second home, after 11 years of practice, has proven that Xuefeng-style communism offers the best model for elderly care. Increasing numbers of single and divorced people raise questions about sexual life. Letting it run unchecked, strict control, or institutional regulations all fail. Only Xuefeng-style communism can address this perfectly, with minimal issues, including sexually transmitted diseases. The growing number of single men, whose parents cannot help, cannot be resolved through traditional means. The most complete solution is participation in Xuefeng-style communism. Official corruption has persisted for centuries. Officials who exploit the public while living off their labor are a long-standing social disease. Xuefeng-style communism eliminates this problem, because there are no officials, everyone is a worker, and no one manages others, so corruption disappears. Childcare and education become collective responsibilities, not solely parental. Children live in a community, making abduction impossible, and spoiling or miseducating children is prevented. 11 years of practice in Xuefeng-style communism have demonstrated near-perfect education and protection for children. In this model, theft is eliminated, stolen goods have no place to go, no practical use, and there is no need to steal. Toxic food does not exist. If you grow or make your own food, you will only consume what is safe. Drug abuse, prostitution, fighting, bullying, and similar behaviors are nearly non-existent, as the social structure removes opportunities for such acts. Those who attempt them have no place in the community, so they do not dare. Crises of integrity arise from conflicting interests. In Xuefeng-Style communism, people have no direct material conflicts and cannot form special cliques or favoritism. Everyone acts according to the 800 principles of humanity for the new era, eliminating most integrity crises. Some minor issues may occur in romantic relationships, because the system is not yet fully implemented, and relocation between communities may lead to occasional disputes. However, once fully operational, even relationship-based integrity crises are virtually impossible, as opportunities for prolonged romantic engagement are minimal. People instead focus on cultivating personal qualities. In short, many unhealthy phenomena present in human society for centuries would greatly diminish or disappear entirely under Xuefeng-Style communism. Why is this ideal model difficult to promote and accept? Governments oppose it because they consist mainly of officials seeking special privileges. In Xuefeng-Style communism, no one enjoys special treatment, so officials resist and suppress it. Wealthy people oppose it, fearing equality. They desire superiority, which is impossible in Xuefeng-Style communism, so they resist. Ordinary people resist because they subconsciously want to be better than others. In Xuefeng-Style communism, this is impossible, so they may prefer to endure hardship rather than participate. Despite the challenges, Xuefeng-Style communism represents the future of humanity. Eventually, people, especially in China, will live in this model. China's special conditions show that Western-style capitalism cannot succeed, as wealth brings survival risks, revolutionary movements, or government exploitation. Socialism has already failed in practice, as people do not experience happiness, freedom, and fulfillment under it. Ultimately, the most beautiful future life for humanity, particularly for the Chinese nation, lies within Xuefeng-Style communism. No philosopher, scholar, or even reincarnated savior, whether Jesus, Maitreya, or the Zhui sage, can create a more perfect model of human life than this. All people should follow the path of Xuefeng-Style communism. Handan Boy, January 21, 2022. Xuefeng has already prepared a heavenly path for humanity, from theory to practice. This path is Xuefeng-Style communism. No matter whether you are a national president, billionaire, religious leader, scholar, worker, farmer, entrepreneur, or merchant, if you are human, you should walk this path. Since the beginning of human history, no better mode of production and life has ever existed than Xuefeng-Style communism. In the future, no God, Buddha, immortal, sage, or any other being, even the prophesied Zhui sage, can create a better system of production and life. Western democratic countries, led by the United States, cannot perfect their social systems to the level of Xuefeng-Style communism. China, no matter how much it tries, cannot develop a society as civilized and advanced. People in Latin America, Africa, and Oceania also cannot create a society more ideal than Xuefeng-Style communism. All thoughtful people should stop searching for or debating how to build a better human future. Xuefeng has already planned and arranged everything. No matter how intelligent you are merely groping in the dark. Any theories you create, however brilliant you believe them to be, are still full of flaws and inconsistencies compared to Xuefeng's design. Do not waste time and energy overthinking, devote all your talents and wisdom to Xuefeng-Style communism. To all the suffering and oppressed people of the world, Xuefeng-Style communism is your best path, and the best path for your children and descendants. The ideal life your ancestors dreamed of exists within this system. Approach it with gratitude, and walk the path of Xuefeng-Style communism without hesitation, without looking back. Hundun Boy does not deceive you. This is a warning for humanity. It is meant to save you and guide you into a heavenly life. If you listen and follow, it is your blessing. If you do not, poverty, ignorance, anxiety, suffering, fear, and even death will pursue you. If you do not believe, let the facts answer you. Whether people walk this path or not, the future mode of human production and life will be Xuefeng-Style communism. There will be no alternative. The earlier you follow it, the sooner you will be happy. The later you delay, the less time you have. Xuefeng-Style communism, the highest realm of human life. Xuefeng, October 28, 2022. The highest realm a person can reach is selflessness and egolessness. Only by being selfless can one ascend to heaven as an immortal. Only by being egoless can one attain Buddhahood and enter the Elysium world. The path is clear, but the question is, how can we truly achieve selflessness and egolessness? Ask yourself, in your limited lifetime, have you ever met a person who is both completely selfless and egoless? The clearest sign of selflessness is having nothing at all. The clearest sign of egolessness is being free from worry, anxiety, and fear. Have you ever seen a person who is both completely without possessions and completely free of worry and fear? Almost certainly, the answer is no. Have you seen a fish perched in a tree? Have you seen a sheep grazing in water? Of course not. Fish cannot survive out of water, and sheep cannot survive in water. Similarly, in worldly society, finding a person who is truly selfless and egoless is as impossible as seeing a fish in a tree or a sheep in water. So where can one encounter truly selfless and egoless people? The answer is, in the life system of Xuefeng-Style communism. When people hear the word communism, many scoff instinctively. This is simply because they do not know what communism really is. They have never lived within a communist system, never seen it in practice, and their understanding is only biased hearsay. As the saying goes, facts speak louder than words. To truly understand communism, one must experience and feel life in the second home created by Lifechanyuan under Xuefeng's guidance. Lifechanyuan's second home, founded on April 18, 2009, has survived many trials and continues to thrive on Earth. Why has it endured repeated destructive attacks? Because those who have personally participated in building and living in the second home understand that Xuefeng-Style communism is the highest realm of human life. It is like climbing Mount Everest and standing at the highest point on earth, or like tasting the divine peach and never desiring any other fruit. Once people experience Xuefeng-Style communism, no other mode of production or life can attract them. Thus, Xuefeng-Style communism will continue to exist and ultimately become humanity's ultimate life system. Returning to the question, how can a person achieve selflessness and egolessness and reach the highest realm of human life? Clearly, just as a fish cannot climb a tree and a sheep cannot live in water, humans cannot reach the highest realm in worldly society. The highest achievements in secular society, becoming a billionaire, a president, or winning a Nobel Prize, are still vastly inferior to the realm of selflessness and egolessness. Ordinary people cannot hope to reach it. You may doubt this conclusion. To resolve the doubt, try to find a person, other than Jesus Christ or Buddha Shakyamuni, who can prove your doubt is valid. Can you find someone who is egoless, selfless, owns nothing, and lives without worry or anxiety? You cannot. But in Xuefeng-Style communism, you will find that the vast majority of members have achieved selflessness and egolessness. They own nothing yet live happily, freely, and blissfully. How is this possible? Why can't we find such people in worldly society, but they exist in Xuefeng-Style communism? The answer is simple. The soil, or the life system, is completely different. In worldly society, if you are selfless, you cannot survive. In the Xuefeng-Style communist life system, if you are selfish, you cannot stand. To exaggerate slightly, an angel entering worldly society may become a devil entering Xuefeng-Style communism may become an angel. The principle is simple. The wise have long known, enter the room of orchids and the fragrance becomes unnoticed, enter the fish market and the stench becomes unnoticed. The conclusion is clear. To reach the highest realm of human life, one must immerse oneself fully in the life system of Xuefeng-Style communism. There is no other way. The future of humanity, Xuefeng-Style communism. Xuefeng, March 2, 2024. Looking back at history, whether in Europe, Africa, Asia, the Americas, or Oceania, the picture it paints is one of war, famine, disease, chaos, and various natural disasters. No nation, no people, no individual has ever truly lived a life of happiness, joy, freedom, and fulfillment. The 5,000 years of human history tell us that states, religions, political parties, money, and power cannot solve the inherent suffering of humanity. Not only do they fail to solve it, but they actually increase human burden and suffering. If states, religions, political parties, money, and power cannot relieve human suffering and instead worsen it, then they should disappear. After the disappearance of states, religions, political parties, money, and power, will humanity return to the age of savagery, tribal times, or city-states? The answer is no. Human overall awareness has advanced, technology has progressed, thinking has become more active, and knowledge and wisdom have reached unprecedented levels. People no longer wish to return to the old ways, just as more and more individuals refuse to step into the sea of suffering that is marriage and family. So, without states, religions, political parties, money, and power, where should humanity go? The answer is, toward the Lifechanyuan era, that is, Xuefeng-Style communism, the kingdom of the greatest creator. In the Lifechanyuan era, within the production and life programs of Xuefeng-Style communism, there will no longer be states, religions, political parties, money, power, or marriage and family. In the Lifechanyuan era, within the programs of Xuefeng-Style communism, there will no longer be constitutions, laws, or regulations, only principles. People will regulate their behavior according to these principles. In Xuefeng-Style communism, all resources are shared, everyone owns nothing yet possesses everything, and through selflessness and egolessness, each person can perform the most magnificent symphony of life. Can you imagine it? Impossible? In the universe, nothing is truly impossible. There are only things that are beyond imagination or current cognitive ability. Nothing is inherently impossible. All material phenomena are the results of consciousness. The formless nature of phenomena is the fundamental characteristic of the world. If what I have said were merely theoretical or conceptual, it could be called utopian communism. I assert that the future of humanity, Xuefeng-Style communism, because it is supported by practical evidence, Lifechanyuan's creation of a new human production and life model, the second home. The second home, this new human model of production and life, began in April 2009 and has been operating effectively for 15 years. There are abundant texts, images, and videos online documenting it. For humanity to enter the Xuefeng-Style communist life system, nothing is inherently impossible. The greatest challenge is that all humanity must undergo a profound purification of the heart. This great purification is a monumental undertaking. The core of this heart purification is the construction of the human spiritual garden, which involves removing greed, envy, comparison, selfishness, laziness, resentment, hatred, ego, and other negative, pessimistic mental states and emotions. Whether people believe it or not, whether they are willing or not, the process has already begun. The future of humanity is Xuefeng-Style communism. A small capitalist on Xuefeng-Style communism. Xuefeng, January 30, 2024. I was born into poverty and, through effort, became a small capitalist. After becoming a capitalist, I employed 2 workers in my household, a young girl responsible for washing clothes, scrubbing pots and pans, and cleaning indoors, and a middle-aged man responsible for maintaining flowers, trees, lawns, the swimming pool, keeping vehicles clean, and feeding 2 large wolves. The main gate was automatic and remote-controlled, so it required no attention. This comfortable and pleasant life lasted more than 10 years, and I have the following reflections. For society to develop, there must be wealth differences and social strata. The upper class thinks and strategizes, the middle class manages, and the lower class serves the upper and middle classes. This is an ideal social arrangement. Equalizing wealth or enforcing common prosperity would prevent anyone from living comfortably. Some people are naturally good at thinking and taking risks. If they were forced into management or service roles, they would fail, which wastes resources. Those in the middle class are good at management but lack long-term vision. Placing them in service roles would frustrate them. Those in the lower class are neither thoughtful nor managerial, so service work suits them perfectly. Everyone is content this way. With my 2 workers, I was freed from tedious household chores and had ample time to study and improve my abilities, handling more important matters. The workers, in turn, had food, housing, and family care. I was happy, and they were satisfied. If a society eliminates class differences, giving everyone the same standard of living, it effectively punishes diligence and rewards laziness. The result will inevitably be widespread poverty. Societies without wealth differences and social strata are the worst. The better the welfare system, the higher the taxes on capitalists, the stronger the unions, and the higher the minimum wages. Such a society violates natural principles, is unfair, and will inevitably collapse. Now, regarding Xuefeng-Style communism, if it were like the historically known concepts and practices of communism, it would certainly be a fleeting utopia doomed to failure. The reason Xuefeng-Style communism has survived and operated for over a decade under harsh conditions is that it is fundamentally different from conventional communism. For it to succeed, it must meet the following conditions. Every thinker, manager, and service worker must feel satisfied and happy. Every member must be wealthy in spirit and soul. There can be no parasites living off others. Every member must be selfless and egoless. There must be a goal more beautiful than enjoying life itself. Every member's spiritual garden must be pristine, free of jealousy, comparison, greed, resentment, or hatred. Its management system cannot be autocratic or centralized. It must be heavenly. Its founders and successors must have no personal wealth. It must be anti-human in the conventional sense. Without these 8 conditions, Xuefeng-style communism would be nothing more than a fleeting, colorful ripple in human society. Can it be done? The difficulty exceeds climbing Mars. We shall see. The future of humanity should be like this. Hundun Baby, January 21, 2024. Archaeologists, through scientific exploration and research, believe that humanity has gone extinct 4 times. The main causes of these extinctions were the overall moral decay and spiritual dimness of humans. The core factor of moral decay was the pursuit of sensory pleasures and the struggle for power and resources, while spiritual dimness was primarily marked by disregard for the Creator and a failure to cherish natural resources and life. Today, humanity stands again on the cliff of moral decay and spiritual dimness. Its main features are the pursuit of money, boundless greed, excessive consumption, insatiable desires, and a frantic struggle for survival resources, levels of danger comparable to the 4 previous extinction events. The future of humanity is full of crises. I point out a path for humanity to consider. Following the socialist collectivization path, the laboring masses will live in poverty, but humanity's overall lifespan will increase. Following the capitalist, market-oriented path, the laboring masses may enjoy wealth, but humanity's overall lifespan will decrease. Neither socialism nor capitalism is ideal. Socialism inevitably leads to poverty, while capitalism, though it may bring wealth and maximize productivity, will exhaust natural resources and provoke nature's retaliation. Other paths, such as military control, are purely barbaric, leading not only to poverty but also to social chaos. The most ideal path for humanity's future is Xuefeng-style communism. Take note, this is not the communism advocated by Marx, Lenin, or practiced by Mao Zedong. Xuefeng-style communism has already been practiced on Earth for 15 years and can solve nearly 90% of the problems facing humanity, such as territorial disputes between nations and permanent solutions for elderly care. The more detailed and numerous the contents and clauses of constitutions, laws, and regulations, the more problems they create. The more managers there are, the higher the operational cost of society. Therefore, by abolishing all constitutions, laws, and regulations, and replacing them with guiding principles, society can run orderly. For this purpose, I have prepared the 800 Principles for Humanity in the New Era. To live a happy life and ensure humanity continues to thrive on Earth, all humans must undergo a spiritual purification. The curriculum for this spiritual purification has also been prepared for humanity. 8 logical arguments for the inevitable realization of communism. Xuefeng, January 17, 2025. First, let me clarify, the communism I speak of is not the communism described by Marx, nor the one pursued by global communist parties, it is Xuefeng-style communism. Communism will inevitably be realized, this is a law of social development. The Internet and AI, the Internet enables information sharing, and AI possesses a global perspective. The Internet functions as a communism program, and AI's values are universal. Humans cannot surpass AI. The universal values and information programs of communism will inevitably lead to global unification, that is Xuefeng-style communism. Human desire for freedom and mobility. Human nature drives the desire to move and travel freely. The Schengen zone of 29 European countries and visa-free policies in many countries are examples. Eventually, global visa-free movement and the absence of border control will arrive, which will lead to the realization of Xuefeng-Style communism. Automation and unemployment. More and more human labor will be replaced by robots. Eventually, the number of robots will exceed humans, causing widespread unemployment. When over 90% of people are unemployed, society will have no choice but to provide universal welfare. Humanity will, in essence, have entered a communist society. Human curiosity and desire for variety. Humans are naturally inclined to seek novelty. For example, in sexual relations, humans do not want only one partner for life. With the internet and global mobility, people will increasingly leave the constraints of marriage and engage broadly, which will naturally lead to Xuefeng-Style communism. Proven superiority of Xuefeng-Style communism. Before 2009, humanity had never experienced true communism. With the establishment of the Lifechanyuan second home in 2009, the superiority of Xuefeng-Style communism over traditional family life has been proven. 17 years of thriving demonstrate that Xuefeng-Style communism is humanity's most ideal mode of life. Decline of authoritarianism. The opposite of communism is centralized authoritarianism, whose hallmark is media control. With the rise of the internet and AI, governments' control over information is weakening. As people increasingly access diverse information sources directly, authoritarian regimes will crumble, paving the way for communism. Entrepreneurial vision. The Elon Musk phenomenon shows that capital controlled by global-minded entrepreneurs benefits society more than capital controlled by governments. Entrepreneurs' global vision fosters progress and inevitably drives the birth of communism. Human civilization trends. Humanity has advanced from primitive to modern civilization despite hardships. The highest form of civilization is not socialism or capitalism, but Xuefeng-Style communism. This unstoppable trend guarantees that communism will ultimately be realized. Xuefeng-Style communism embodies the Datong ideal sought by sages: unification of values, life views, worldviews, language, communication, production, and living patterns. Do not see it as a threat, or think it forcibly takes private property. It is a gentle, pervasive system, like spring rain or sunlight, that allows people to realize the incomparable joy, freedom, and happiness of life under Xuefeng-Style communism, gradually persuading them to willingly embrace it. In conclusion, humanity's future is infinitely bright, and humans will ultimately enter a Xuefeng-Style communist society.